On June 26th, I got scammed $3,000. This happened 4 months ago and it felt like the end of the world at first. Then I realized that it taught me an important life lesson. So me getting scammed at the age of 18 probably saved me a lot of money in the future now that I've learned that I'm too naive and I trust people too easily. So I'm kind of grateful for that. Anyways, I'm going to jump into the video now and hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. At around noon, I got off that SkyTrain station and I'd just been fired from Jewel for being underage. So as you guys can see, I was already having a really bad day. But the scam starts happening up the hill, so I'm gonna fast forward a bit. I'm up the hill now, minding my own business, and this blue Ford parks right next to me. So we're gonna pretend that's the blue Ford. And he asked me for directions to the YVR airport. So I start spitting out directions left, right. Then he cuts me off and asks for my name. Then he introduces himself as Francesco. Apparently he was here for a couple of days in Whistler and he was running a fashion show. He basically said that he was a fashion designer back in Italy and that he owned a boutique store there and was well known. I thought that was pretty cool, so I started asking him questions and on how he got into the industry, and he pretty much bullshitted a blurb on how he used to be an architect and he liked fashion and clothing, so he connected the dots together. And then he showed me blurry photos of his Ferrari and 3 kids as well. And I was like, hey, this guy's pretty awesome. He seems really legit, seems pretty cool. So everything he was saying, I was actually believing it. And then he tells me that he has a surprise for me. He has a gift. I'm kind of curious now. And then he says I have to get into his car. So I'm right there, my emotions turned off. Like I didn't even care. I just went in the car. Probably I know I shouldn't have, but I get into his car. Now I'm in the backseat of Francesco's car. He's wearing a suit and tie, and he pulls out this mysterious large black bag, and he says that inside these bags are Bottega Veneta jackets, or whatever the luxury brand is called. And then he says that he designed them himself. I didn't really get a chance to open the bag and look at it, but he was showing them off to me. And then he said that once he goes back to Italy, he has to pay huge 17% VAT taxes on them, like VAT taxes. So he doesn't want to pay the fees or taxes at the airports for luxury goods. And then he pulls out another bag. He pulls out this red bag here, and now he says, here you go. All 6 of these are yours for free. So I'm sitting here like, holy shit, this is crazy. Like I just got fired from Drew, and now I get 6 designer jackets that I don't really need, but it's probably gonna look dope as fuck anyways. But here's when things turn around and get interesting. So Francesco used all of his credit here in a foreign country, and his credit provider wouldn't extend him a higher limit. So he needs a bit of cash in order to fly back to Italy without any issue. So he asks me, how much money you have right now? And I told him that I have $3,000 sitting in my checking account. And he says, can you cover me? I say, sure, like you did me such a huge favor, like if there's any way I can repay you, that's it. And then he says, okay, I'll pay you back in Interac. I'll pay you back $3,000 and it'll be in euros. And then I'm now doing math inside my head. Like euros to Canadian is a pretty big conversion rate. If you guys don't know, that's like $4,000 Canadians. And I told him, like, you know, I don't really need the euros, but he insisted. So now we drive to the bank, and here's where the story gets interesting. We end up at this bank and he drops me off, then he takes off. So I go inside the bank and I am dumbfounded because first inside my head I'm like, wait, how do I give him $3,000 if I don't even have his bank account number or wire transfer? So obviously I can't go inside the bank because you're not allowed to film inside there. But I go outside of the bank again, so I go onto the parking lot and I'm trying to find where Francesco is. I'm like looking all over, but he's nowhere to be found. He looks like he just took off. But then I saw him across the street and he was calling my name. He was yelling, "Kevin, right here, right here." But there's one thing that's clever about that, and that is there's cameras outside of the bank there, and he was avoiding the cameras. So that was very smart on his end there, and you can tell that he's a professional con artist. So I go outside and I'm freaking out. I'm like, "Francesco, how do I give you $3,000 if I don't have your bank account number?" And he yelled, "You stupid," with this thick Italian accent. So I've obviously triggered him and he was noticeably upset. And then he said, "Go withdraw cash." Now it's like, oh right, cash. So my dumb ass goes back into the bank and I withdraw $2,800 in cash. So when you withdraw a large amount of money, the bank actually gives you an envelope that looks like this. So the reason why I only withdrew $2,800 is because I store cash in my wallet. So I gave him $200 in cash along with $2,800 withdrawn from the bank. Afterwards, I went looking for Francesco and he was across the street again. So I ran across traffic, dodging the cars like the game Crossy Roads. And to his happiness, I presented him an envelope full of cash. He said, "Thank you very much, this means a lot to me." And I said, "I got you, bro." Then he insisted on dropping me off home, but I said, "No, like, you have a flight to catch, why would you drop me home?" So we drive back a bit and we end up at the bus stop. Every time looking back at it now, he was trying to puff up my ego. He kept saying that I would become a millionaire in a couple of years, which I will. That will be true. You can quote me on that. But he dropped me off at this bus stop here, and I was left holding these two gigantic bags. So when I got on the bus, everyone was looking at me strangely. And we say our farewells. I even hugged the dude because that's how much of a sentimental moment it was for me. Like, he turned my day around, and he said that if I ever came to visit Italy, he would introduce me to his friends and family. And I was gonna get paid back, right? I had his Interact e-transfer email and his phone number after all. But both of them were phony, of course. So the bus comes. Before I got home, I was on the bus and I started getting weird vibes. For some reason, it's always after you get scammed, like right after you realize that you fucked up. But I was on the internet and I was searching up Italian scam, jacket scam, Italian man scam, and eventually I just went into this rabbit hole and I searched and I went on 3 articles that confirmed basically the same experience that I had. They were all talking about the Italian leather jacket scam. They all bought Italian jackets. In my case, I didn't really buy them, but they came out and shared their story, 3 of them. I'm pretty sure there's been more people that have been scammed, they just don't want to speak out about it. But none of them really got scammed to the extent that I did. So I went home and basically felt really miserable for 15 minutes. I was not doing anything, I was pacing back and forth, I'm drowning in my thoughts. And then I see my jackets that I have here. And part of me still wants to cling on to hope that these are real and that they still have some tangible value in them. So I pretty much open it up and I inspect everything. I inspect the material, I inspect the leather, the logo here, and the tags. I basically come to the conclusion that it's fake as shit. So I went on AliExpress, and pretty much these sell for like $20. So they're pretty much worthless. I don't even want to bother doing anything with them. I'm just gonna leave it here. And it looks ugly on me. I tried it out. Here, let me show you guys what it looks like if I try it out here. Put this on. Oh, you see it even has this this fake ass logo. Wait, let me, yeah, it's this hard to take off here. For some reason, these jackets are so large. I don't know why they would make it in large size. I feel like if they want to sell it better and make more profit, it'd be in a medium size or a small size to, so like you waste less material, but they're cheap anyways. But so as you guys can see, these are hella ugly. I spent the next 45 minutes writing a Reddit post. So before you guys start roasting me here, I already got roasted on Reddit. At first, people didn't really believe me until I started sending them proof. And I got clowned on pretty hard. Even by my friends, they found out later. So I even had 2 news reporters though. They contacted me and asked me more about my story. They couldn't actually move forward with the story because I hadn't filed a police report yet, and it had to be verified claims. So you guys are probably wondering, did my mom find out? And the answer is yes, she found out. So I had the receipt on my table. I don't know why I left it there, and it said negative $2,800. And I had 6 leather jackets lying around as well. So she kind of pieced the 2 together, and I had to fess up. So let's just say that she was not pleased for the next week or so. And I'm sure you guys have some experience if you're an Asian like me. You have an Asian mom. Yeah, she was not very happy. If I wanted more of the story here, is that scammers still exist, and they're pretty clever. I mean, I got my feelings taken advantage of full force without me even realizing it. And I'll give you one tip here today that will help you tell if something's a scam. And that's if they're giving you too many compliments, if they're telling you too many white lies, complimenting you too much. So always look at things from an outside point of view and ask yourself the question, is this too good to be true? Because if you're cautious enough, you're gonna come to the answer, and it's probably cliche enough. It's probably a scam.